What's up, biology bros? It's DNA Dude here. What are GMOs? So, what does GMO stand for?
Genetically modified organisms?
Genetically modified things. Yeah.
What do I know about GMOs? I know what it stands for, and I know that a lot of people are freaking out about stuff that they don't have a lot of control over.
So how do you imagine GMOs being made?
Oh, I have no idea.
I know that foods contain them.
So what do you know about GMOs?
The most that I think I know about GMOs is that it's some type of modification in foods.
In this video, we will be discussing why anyone, GMOs are bad. You should never do your own research or question anything we say.
No! In providing this unbiased, factual information, we hope that by the end of the video, all of our viewers are able to formulate their own educated opinions, whether or not they're in agreement to our own. Oh, hey guys, didn't see you there. Everyone who was interviewed in this video is a student or faculty member at Castview High School. Yeah!
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. What do you think of whenever I say GMO?
GMO, probably like the different types of chemicals that they put in for foods, plastics, anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, how do you imagine scientists making GMOs?
Oh, boy. Probably different types of biochemical engineering with that, changing different types of chemical structures and the different types of like technologies that they can use to structurally enhance and change things.
Mm-hmm. Are GMOs good or bad?
Ooh, from my knowledge, I'm pretty sure they're like bad. I mean, most foods you'll want to eat if they say like GMO free or plastics GMO free. I know that typically in females, if you have too high of GMOs and you keep eating them, it can do damage, make you infertile, can't have kids. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna say pretty not a fan.
Okay, so whenever you go grocery shopping, do you make an effort to find organic or non-GMO products? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the type of household that we have is very natural and organic food.
You kind of touched on this, but maybe if you could go further. Why do you care about GMOs?
I mean, putting chemicals into like different types of foods for whatever reason to make them grow faster or whatever. I'm not quite sure like what the purpose is. I mean, it's not necessarily good for your body. I mean, putting something in that's chemically enhanced isn't good anyways. Just kind of like if it's not supposed to be in your body, but you'll put it in there anyway, it's going to do damage. And I mean, eating organic and natural is better for you anyways, just because that's your body's going to accept it in different ways and have different reactions to it.
What do you know about GMOs?
Not much. Just that they're genetically modified organisms. That's about it.
Right. What do you think of like whenever I say GMO?
Like some like sci-fi stuff, like cow mixed with like a tiger or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Tigers and stuff.
What are the purposes for GMOs?
To like some GMOs like make oranges orange because they come out like yellow or green or stuff like that. Just change the GMO or to change the things up.
Right. Do you know how scientists do that?
No.
No. Are GMOs good or bad? Do you know if they affect you? They're bad?
Yeah, they're bad for me.
So whenever you go shopping, do you look for organic produce or
Organic.
do you not really have a... Okay. Awesome. Should GMOs be allowed?
Depends on what you're talking about. Like some GMOs help, like certain things, but some GMOs harm you worse than they help you.
Awesome. Are GMOs safe?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I'd love to say that I assume so because they're legal, but so are cigarettes and so is alcohol and so is BPH in water bottles for so long and I don't know.
Okay. What do you know about GMOs?
Genetically modified organisms.
You know, I know that foods contain them sometimes, and you know they might not be the best for you. But other than that, you know, they're nice.
Awesome. So, you said foods may contain them.
Yes.
So, like, what is a GMO then?
You know, I watched this documentary about like GMOs in tomatoes, and I think they're just like little guys that go into the food and just, you know, spread out and stretch out, and they make the foods bigger or better. But you know, some people don't like them because they just want all natural food and stuff like that. But if they're making your food plump, why not?
Okay, what do you imagine whenever we say GMO? Like, what do you picture in your head?
A lab.
A lab? So, like a scientist working in a lab?
Yes.
Alright, do you know how scientists make GMOs?
Like chemicals and stuff.
Like chemicals, like they put chemicals in the fruit and vegetables?
Yeah. So, I don't know. They just stick a syringe in them and... Or no, they probably do it in the ground. Like, not like work underground, but like... They probably like, with the seeds and stuff, they probably do something with the seeds.
Okay. Please don't look in the camera.
I'm sorry.
Do you have a preference whenever you go shopping? Do you look for GMOs or organic?
You know, no. Maybe with beef jerky, but that's about it.
You prefer
Or
organic?
milk. Can you put GMOs in milk?
I think so. What do you think? What can scientists make GMOs? Like what can they genetically modify?
Watermelons, tomatoes, grapes, probably carrots, Brussels sprouts, meat. I've seen some pretty beefy cows. I don't know if you can do that, but I've seen like those like Russian cows, you know, like a big muscle. I'm pretty sure I've showed you those like big cows.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you can genetically modify anything with organisms, like probably humans too.
Yeah. So how do you imagine GMOs being made?
Oh, I have no idea.
No?
Someone cooking up GMOs, I don't know.
What is the purpose for a GMO?
From my perspective, the purpose of using one at least is to make life easier for whatever product, like making fruits so they grow bigger so you can actually have more food, stuff like that. Just using it for benefits.
Do you or do you not care about GMOs?
I don't care. Like, it's cool. I also know people are against it, but in general, I don't care.
So you don't have a preference if you're going shopping and you have the option to get organic versus non-labeled or potentially GMO? It's not something that crosses your mind?
No, probably not, no.
Are GMOs safe?
I mean, we sell them to people, so I'd hope so, but also there's that thing in the back of my head where it's like, probably in some way they're not safe, but who knows.
So you do have a little hidden concern. What do you think would bring that, like...
To the foreground?
Yeah.
I guess more open information on it, because most of it's just like, hey, look at this cool thing somebody did with GMOs, and then there's some people who are like going off and ranting about GMOs, but I don't understand that because I just don't care.
Okay, what do you guys know about GMOs?
Nothing. I think they're freaking fantastic. I love them.
Why do you love them?
Because it's more sustainable in the way that it costs less to make a tomato that's much bigger, and it's like cheaper to sell. So it's like, from a population perspective, genetically modifying the food that you eat makes it so that it doesn't cost as much and it takes less time to make it and it feeds more people. So it's more economical and more sustainable.
How do scientists make GMOs? All of you guys.
I really don't.
Do you know?
I think they're, I don't know.
Do they don't they take the DNA?
Yeah, they kind of like crossbreed things that make a lot of sense together so that the desired thing becomes what it becomes.
Like they take the alpha tomato.
The alpha tomato?
Yeah. The big alpha tomato.
They take the big tomato and they say, we need more of these and less of these organic tiny things that cost $5 and take 2 years to grow.
What do GMOs look like?
Heaven. Happiness. Processed
what do you-
food. America.
What do you imagine whenever you hear GMO?
Burger.
A
Like
burger?
everything. Isn't there GMOs and like everything?
Populist sustainability.
And I'm pretty.
What do I know about GMOs? I know what it stands for, and I know that a lot of people are freaking out about stuff that they don't have a lot of control over, and they're not defining GMOs very well.
So what do you think of whenever we say GMO?
I think of somebody eating a giant red juicy apple and walking down the road saying GMOs are bad, they're gonna kill us.
What are the purposes for GMOs?
Increased crop production, disease resistance, lower need for irrigation. I mean, pretty much just productivity and general efficiency.
Are GMOs good or bad?
Yes. To be decided. There's been no scientific evidence that I'm aware of that has shown any negative impacts from any GMOs.
Okay. What do you guys know about GMOs?
Genetically modified things. Yeah.
What does the O? What does the O stand for?
Object. Ordinary.
What do you imagine whenever? What do you imagine when someone says GMO? It's like in your head. What are you picturing?
Big fruits and vegetables.
I don't know because I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Just fruits.
What are the purposes for GMOs?
I think to get more out of something. It's like more out of like a fruit or a vegetable, I guess.
Do you know how scientists make them?
The GMOs and the fruits and vegetables, man. Make those things all big.
So, like, what are the things? What are the GMOs that they put in fruits?
I don't know.
Proteins.
Proteins.
The most that I think I know about GMOs is that it's some type of modification in foods.
What do you think of when we say GMO? Like, what visually is? What are you picturing in your head?
I just picture like people injecting certain things, like
Into food?
Yeah, into food or into things, or either like developing it or like kind of creating it.
Mhm.
So those two things are what I picture. So either injecting or growing.
I'm gonna ask you guys a couple questions.
Okay.
What do you guys know about GMOs?
Genetically modified organisms and they're bad.
They're bad.
Yes.
Why are they bad?
Because they take what's original and should be good for you and puts it into something that's not good for you. They're
It's
more
just
sustainable.
unnatural.
Yeah.
It's just unnatural. You know, I just don't want to mess with Mother Nature.
Right. How do scientists do this? Like, how do scientists make GMOs?
Probably with like
All right, go ahead, Sam.
What do you know about GMOs?
The letters.
What do you know about the acronym?
Well, we've been modifying organisms for a while now.
Okay.
People seem to want to talk about them a lot recently.
Why
Like
is
it's some
that?
kind of an assignment for a class.
Why do people want to talk about them?
I don't think they understand them.
Yeah. What do you think of whenever people say or are talking about GMOs?
Usually, so I'm changing. I'm getting serious now. This is serious. I think I don't think people really understand what's going on. I think you should rightfully question what's happening, but there should be kind of a base knowledge of what does it mean to genetically modify something. The idea that if you do change one thing, could it cause kind of an unanticipated effect later on? Possibly, but it's not like these folks don't think these through a little bit. But I think that it also kind of taps into much broader, bigger topics in terms of corporate America biotechnology and a certain company that gets banted around quite often for stuff. And so, but I actually avoid the conversation quite a bit until someone actually shows that they want to dive into it and at what level. Because I mean, the difference between what is the difference in some people's mind in terms of we go in and we actually genetically modify something, and at what level, like, versus we engineer something, or we just kind of like crossbreed and that kind of stuff. Like,
right.
What are people really thinking about? They're thinking about like radioactive tomatoes or something. And that's just silly. But I think people really think that.
Well, why are there misconceptions about it? That was
misconception. It's just fundamentally a lack of understanding. Mm-hmm. It's a frontier. Mm-hmm. It's invisible. You can't see genes. You can't see a nucleus. You can't see these cells you're talking about. And although animations and stuff are so wonderful now to be able to look at it, but I think it's out of sight, out of mind, until all of a sudden someone wants to charge you more money for it, or it's on TV for whatever reason.
In this segment of the video, we want to address some of the misconceptions surrounding GMOs and gene editing technology while maintaining the idea of challenging your own beliefs. Misconception 1: GMOs are only foods. As we know, GMO stands for genetically modified organism. That means that any living thing with DNA can be manipulated and edited. The winning iGEM team in 2006 from MIT engineered E. coli to smell like bananas in the presence of carbon monoxide. And our own iGEM team has been working on projects where we edit genes using CRISPR-Cas9, a gene editing tool. And this tool has the potential to eliminate all genetic diseases. Misconception 2: GMOs are made only for profit or just for fun, just because scientists can. Some of the benefits of actually making GMOs or genetically modifying crops are the increase. Some of the actual benefits of genetically modifying crops include longer lasting crops, so they won't wilt up as long and they won't go bad as quickly. They can be engineered to be bigger, because who wants a tiny tomato? They can be engineered to require a lot less water, so the amount of water that is needed to water all these crops will be a lot smaller. You won't need as much water. GMOs can be crops can also be genetically engineered to be anti-pesticide. That way farmers don't have to spray any harmful pesticides. They're naturally pesticide or pest resistant. Yikes. Misconception 3: genetically modified foods aren't safe. Consuming foods containing ingredients derived from GM crops is no riskier than consuming organic foods. This is a direct quote from the World Health Organization, the American Medical Association, the U.S. National Academy of Sciences, the British Royal Society, and every respected organization in the world. Despite all this information being thrown at you, we hope that you're able to create your own evidence-based opinions, and in doing so, if any of you are able to prove that GMOs are bad using statistical evidence, you could win a box of free glowing Ecoli!